Good morning, Seattle Unity. Welcome today for the youth in the room and those of you at home. Join us if you are able and stand, and we will sing and go Seahawks.
We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. No, no. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. If you like harmonies, sing them. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Freedom. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Try justice. We who believe in justice cannot rest. We who believe in justice cannot rest until it comes. Justice. We who believe in justice cannot rest. We who believe in justice cannot rest until it comes. Let's pray on that.
Breathing into this energy, feeling our feet on the ground connected to Mother Earth, opening our hearts and minds to that infinite presence of love, of spirit, one God. Join me in our opening statement. There is but one presence and one power in my life and in the universe. God, the good omnipotence.
From this quiet place, let's try peace. We who believe in peace cannot rest. We who believe in peace cannot rest until it comes. We who believe in peace cannot rest. We who believe in peace cannot rest until it comes. How about love? We who believe in love cannot rest. Oh, oh, oh. We who believe in love cannot rest until it comes. Love. We who believe in love cannot rest. Oh, oh, yeah. We who believe in love cannot rest until it comes. Now we do spirit. We who believe in spirit cannot rest. But this one finishes a little differently. We who believe in spirit cannot rest until it rises. We who believe in spirit cannot rest. Oh, oh. We who believe in spirit cannot rest until it rises. Please be seated.
Good morning, all you folk. It's good to see you out. My name is Mitch Hunter, and I am your platform assistant for today. And one thing I wanted to tell you all, in case you hadn't heard it yet today, you are loved, and I love you. I want to welcome everybody that's here, that made it all the way here in the room, and also everybody that's here online. Now, some of you may be live with us, and some of you may be joining us at some other time during the week, but we welcome you no matter when you come and join us. For all those folks that are online, if you get the chance to tell us who you are, or you can make up a name, it really doesn't matter, and tell us where you're joining from. That way we get to kind of know where our reach is and know how far our love and peace and justice and freedom goes. So we love that. The chat is also a great place to put any prayer requests, so that might be names, and folks that are in the room should know that your prayer requests are on a form that's right outside the sanctuary in the entryway. There's a little table, and you have a form you can fill out. Now, when I first came, I didn't know the big deal about names and kind of praying for people by names, and I thought, okay, well, that's great. But the secret is, behind the curtain, all week long, we have a prayer team of people who pray for those names all week long. So it's kind of an ongoing thing, and that just makes it that much bigger and kind of full of love. Is there anybody here that's first time that you've come? Raise your hand. We welcome you, and if you'll leave your hand up for just a minute, we got an usher that's running for our welcome packets, and we'll get it to you in just a moment. Let's highlight a few announcements and things that are coming up. Last Sunday, there was a puzzle exchange, and I think right in front of Diane there. Here we go. There was a puzzle exchange, and it went really well, and there might be one or two puzzles left in case you didn't pick up a puzzle, or you maybe already finished all the ones you picked up and you might want some more. Those are downstairs near the reception desk, yeah. Today is the Heartfulness meditation. I think that's going to be on the third Sundays. At 11:30, it'll be in the meditation hall, which is right off of the sanctuary here. We have a workshop today led by Joe Allen, and it is beginning AI. So those of you that are a little afraid or a little curious, let's just say that, about the robot revolution, there are 5 ways that you can transform your day using AI, and he's going to show us about that. That'll be in the conference room downstairs. And for the online community and those of you that might want to log in after the service, or after the nosh that we have upstairs, by the way, for everybody, we have a discussion online. It's going to be led by Louise Carnahan, one of our folks that's joining us from Oregon. And we just invite you all to join in. I think that. And then we would like to have our prayer for the future. Divine love flows through Seattle Unity. As our congregation grows, we are blessed with deep and lasting friendships. We share creative ideas that spark new ways of being. We give generously from a place of abundance. We are empowered to do good in the world. And now we have Diane.
Great. Thank you, Mitch. So I'm going to ask Mark Buick to come up here. We're giving kind of a special recognition because Mark Buick has been our lead usher greeter for many years, and he said he can't count, but certainly since we've been back in the new building, there's been a couple rounds. And so we're going to bless Mark, but before we do that, Mark has a few things that he would like to share.
How's that? First, I want to thank Diane and Karen for the opportunity to serve in this role for so many years, and this goes well back into the old church, so it's been a while. I've come to the conclusion that with Diane taking over, this feels like a good time for some new blood and for me to find some new direction here in the church. I also want to thank Terry Dupras, who is going to be taking this over. Sorry, I did it again. I want to thank Terry Dupras for taking this over. He'll do a great job. He and I have talked about this. Diane and Terry have talked about this, and he's got some new ideas, and that'll be great. So I decided I should just dress up a little bit today. For me, that was worse than having to agree with my wife on, I don't have anything to wear. One of those outfits where these events and appearance actually matters. Oops, I got it. Sorry. So without further ado, I want to take a minute to thank Leeds, Dirk, Terry, and Rick Miller, and everyone who has helped take the offering over the years. Especially Don Bennett, Paul Gammon, and Rick Miller, who always step in when I find I only have 3 people instead of 4. I also want to recognize anyone who has ever helped with usher and greeter duties. Can you all please stand if you've ever done this? Look at this. Look at this. How great is that? That has made my job easier than you will ever imagine. Once again, thank you all for making this job so easy for me and the rewards I get just from being in this church for all of these years. Thank you very much.
So while Mark is still standing up here, we're going to give him our unity blessing. And I know it's sort of lingo that not everybody's familiar with. I know many of you are. But I think you'll catch on. And so, Mark, all you have to do is just receive. And so we are so grateful for your service and your leadership. And by the way, Mark is going to continue to serve as the lead usher on second Sundays. But Mark, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ light you are. Thank you. Yes, and we do thank Terry for stepping into the lead usher greeter role. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that we are short some usher and greeters, especially on our first and second Sundays. So if you have felt called to serve in some way, it's actually a great way to meet people because you get to greet them every time you're walking in the front door or downstairs. It's just really powerful. And we only can function as a community when everybody steps in and helps out in some way. And so thank you for all those that do that. And thank you for all those that are hearing that call and stepping forward. All right, so let us now look at our chat question. What intention or vision of yours has come true? So if you're joining us online, I invite you to enter your response to that into the chat. And for those in the room, I invite you to stand and greet one another.
Stay standing as you are able. We're going to sing a song you probably know, or at least you know the chorus, or at least you can follow along. But the first two verses I'm going to give to a couple of congregants here. One is Lizaya and the other is Mary. Mary has never done a solo here before. Yeah, that's a big step, man. Lizaya, anytime you're ready.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. If you have a load you cannot bear, you cannot carry, I'm right up the road, I'll share your load if you just call me.
Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Do that again. Lean on me, yes. When you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean. Just call. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me, yeah, when you're not strong. And I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean. Just call on me, family. Call on me, family, when you need a friend. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me, yeah, when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Nice. Lovely. Please be seated. We're going to move into a more contemplative part of the service in a moment. That will include a silent meditation that we share together. So I encourage you to get comfortable in your room. And I see the Heartfulness Meditation people are here. Yay, put up your hands. These are really lovely people, by the way. So it's 11:30, right? 11:30, and I encourage you, if you are at all into meditation, go hang out with the Heartfulness people and taste their version of it. It is lovely. Our first step into this meditation space comes through a reading, and today that comes from Mary Imani.
Good morning. Reading for today from Daily Word for January 19th, 2026. Dream. So take a moment and just take a breath, take a collective breath together. and dream. My dreams give me purpose and strength. When I feel discouraged about the state of the world, I remember the words of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who famously said, even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. These words remind me that even when a goal feels out of reach, even when I grow weary, even when progress feels too slow, I can maintain the vision I'm working toward. This action helps me persevere and strengthens my resolve and my determination. I'm buoyed by the awareness that others have the dream of an equitable and harmonious world. Together, we dream it, and together we will achieve it. From Numbers 12:6, and he said, "Hear my words. When there are prophets among you, I, the Lord, make myself known to them in visions. I speak to them in dreams." My dreams give me purpose and strength. Amen. Ashe.
To lead us into our silence, we'll use a slow, easy song. It helps to synchronize breath. So I encourage you to sing it and also hear the rest of the room singing it. But it's unity, as always. You don't have to do nothing. You can just listen if you need to. The song is Sanctuary, and it's a page from our past. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. If you like harmonies, throw them in. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Lord, prepare me. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Now quietly, Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, DeMarcus Bazemore.
So I think there's some happy Seahawks fans in the neighborhood, yeah? You know, I was working on my talk last night, but I was trying to check in on the score every once in a while, so that the reason was I was interested, but I was also primarily so I could anticipate the fireworks in my neighborhood, so that I could turn the music up so that my poor dog Toby wouldn't freak out. Didn't work, and as it turns out, we were up till like after 2 a.m. My neighborhood has like serious Seahawks fans, so he was pacing, banging on bathroom doors. So I might be taking a nap today. He's probably sleeping right now. But it is so good to be here with you, for everybody that's here in person, everyone that's joining us online on this long weekend as we celebrate and remember Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So I'm going to do some call outs to the visionary that he really was. So we are exploring this month of January visions and intentions as foundational on our spiritual journey. And so we've been sort of looking at it in a few different ways, and I want to kind of get into what it means to have spiritual vision and kind of touch back to some of the things we talked about last week, but also kind of talk about some of our visionaries. And last week, we talked about the role of imagination in being able to grab hold of those big dreams, those bigger visions. And then faith, in Unity lingo, is one of our 12 powers, imagination and faith together, two of our 12 powers, that are often used and talked about because they both are needed to bring a vision, to bring a dream into reality. And so many think of faith as sort of wishful thinking, but in Unity, it's actually this actualizing force, this force that when used with imagination can bring our vision and our dreams to life. And so it seems very important and very relevant to be talking about some really fantastic visionaries that we know of. And so, of course, when I say visionary, what do you think of? What are the qualities of a visionary? Imagination. Leadership, courage, forward thinking, empathy, creative, contribution, bravery, stamina, service, perseverance. Yeah. Did you know those are all qualities all of you have? Just wanted to point it out, just wanted to take the moment. Of course, it's inspiration, right? Our visionaries are inspirational. They're the ones to kind of in every field. They're the ones that are able to see beyond the current condition or circumstance, right? They're able to take us into a new possibility, a new potential. And they exist in every single professional field, every area of our life. And they're the ones that don't even see the box, right? That analogy that's so often used, right? They don't just think outside of the box, they don't even see the box, right? And so Martin Luther King Jr. was, of course, a visionary with spiritual vision. And so I want to take a moment and just talk about what I mean by that and kind of define what I think of as spiritual vision. And I mentioned it last week, but it is that ability to acknowledge and see the current condition and what's not working, or what could be improved, what could be better, what could be kind of a new way of doing things, a new way of being, and to grab hold of that bigger vision, that bigger dream, that greater potential that's brighter and more life-affirming and just and loving. And so to have spiritual vision is to be able to bridge that, to be able to call out something that's not working or could be better, and to call in the bigger dream. And Martin Luther King Jr., most people are most familiar with his speech, of course, in D.C. at the Lincoln Memorial, right, in August of 1963. Most people know it as I Have a Dream, right? He kind of shows what spiritual vision is in this line when he says, in spite of the difficulties and frustrations of the moment, I still have a dream. Right? So he's acknowledging there's something going on here that could be better, more just, more loving, more equitable. And I still have a dream. That's spiritual vision. Right? He showed spiritual vision when he brought his dream into the present. Right? Very unity, very new thought. To claim a spiritual truth and say it exists right now. Even though we are experiencing something different, that spiritual truth is present right now as a vision, as a dream in spirit. And so he called it into the present when he said, we have also come to this hallowed spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. Now is the time to make real promises of democracy. Now is the time to rise from the dark. Now is the time to open the doors of opportunity to all God's children. Now is the time to lift our nation. Right? And so he called it into the present tense, and he invited all of us to come along. Those that were there at that time and heard it in person, and everyone that's heard it since then. He was showing spiritual vision by activating faith and calling faith forward into the moment. He said, this is our hope. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. Now again, in unity, we think of faith a little differently because often faith is sort of maybe thought of as wishful thinking. It's sort of something out there. It may happen, it may not happen. But in unity, we see that faith is actually that ability to grab hold of the vision and the dream and make it a reality. Unity author Winifred Wilkinson Hassman brilliantly said it this way. Faith is the quality in us which enables us to look past appearances of lack, limitation, or difficulty, to take hold of the divine idea and believe in it even though we do not see evidence of it except in our mind. Through faith, we know with an inner knowing the truth that has not yet expressed in our manifest world. So again, bridging the two. When we hear of and remember Dr. King, it is understandable to say, yes, of course he had spiritual vision. He was a visionary. He was amazing. He was incredible. And yes, he was. And so there's a tendency to not kind of claim that spiritual vision for ourselves as well. To say, well, that was something that only MLK could do. But he was actually calling all of us into that dream. And whenever we have a big dream, a big vision, whether it's in our own individual lives or collectively as a community or in the world, in our country, we're all called to listen and see with spiritual vision. And so we all have access to the spiritual vision, and it's founded in our unity principles, right? Our first two unity principles, there's one presence, one power. We affirm it together at the beginning of each service. That one presence and one power, God, that we are all part of. There is nowhere where God is not, and we are all part of that divine oneness, that infinite love. So we all have access to that spiritual vision, to see with spiritual eyes and hear with spiritual ears, if we are willing. So I want to talk about a couple of other everyday visionaries. And by everyday, I'm not saying they were average or ordinary. I'm simply saying that to remind us that it could have been any one of us. However, these two individuals that I also want to highlight had to overcome extraordinary obstacles. And yet they were listening for and looking for that spiritual vision. They were calling it forth into their lives, and they were able to make an impact because of that. And the first actually preceded Martin Luther King, and maybe even partly responsible for calling Dr. King into the civil rights movement. before Rosa Parks didn't sit down on a bus in December of 1955 and move out of her seat. There was a young teenager, 15 years old, Claudette Colvin. And most of you, and maybe some, haven't heard of her, but you might have heard of her because she passed away this past week on January 13th. And so we have been gifted with the opportunity to kind of review and look at an amazing individual that was actually a pioneer in the civil rights movement. Because think about a young black teenager, 15 years old, on a bus in Alabama, and asked to move out of her seat for a white passenger. And just to be clear, so on the segregated buses, the first several rows were kind of kept aside for white passengers, and at the very back of the bus, those were supposed to be for black passengers. And then in the middle, they called it no man's land. And so she happened to be sitting in one of these seats. And so when the bus started to get full, and there were white passengers coming on and there weren't seats, the bus driver asked Claudette to move from her seat, and she said no, and she refused. And she was arrested, and she was charged, and the judge found her guilty of assault, and she was placed on indefinite probation. And Claudette Colvin, when she was asked later, she said, you know, my mindset was on freedom in that moment, so I was not going to move that day. I told them that history had me glued to the seat, and she had to be carried off the bus. And so she did pass from this earthly walk January 13th at the age of 86. And in 2021, there were several legal volunteers that helped expunge her record because she'd had that indefinite probation hanging over her all of her adult life. And when asked why it was important to her at that time, she said, when I think about why I'm seeking to have my name cleared now by the state, decades later, she said, it's because I believe if that happened, it would show the generation growing up now that progress is possible. And things do get better. It will inspire them to make the world better. That was her reason for doing that. Another visionary that some of you know of, but I'm guessing not everyone knows of, and that is a Unity minister, Reverend Dr. Ruth M. Mosley, lived an incredible spiritual vision. And so she was born in 1930 in Olive Branch, Mississippi. 1930 in Mississippi, where there were more lynchings and killing of black Americans than any other state. And Olive Branch, Mississippi had a population of 500 at the time. And she and her family attended Halliburton Baptist, which was called the Black Church. And the other church in town was just called the White Church. And so she ended up not being able to finish high school. And so she was encouraged to go to Memphis to try to get a different start, a fresh start. And so she went to work for a white family in Memphis and eventually made her way up to Detroit. And during that time, she started attending a Detroit Unity Church. And she discovered, wow, this is a different kind of God. This is a God about love. This is different from kind of the God of hellfire, judgment, and damnation that I grew up with. And so she started to learn more about unity. And eventually she went on to get her GED. She got her bachelor's in sociology and English. She became an ordained Unity minister. She got her master's and doctorate in divinity, all still facing a lot of racial prejudice, unfortunately, including within Unity during that time and during the years she was going through the ministerial program. We are ever working to evolve and heal. And so all of that would have been amazing coming from the circumstances she came out of Olive Branch, Mississippi in 1930. But she had a spiritual vision. As she said, this divine idea got planted in her mind, and she would not let it go. And that divine idea was to start a Unity Urban Ministerial School. And there were many reasons for it, and I'm probably going to be talking about Reverend Ruth more throughout this year as we talk about leaders and visionaries and the giants that we stand on. There were many reasons for it, but it was the spiritual vision, and she had a lot of naysayers around her. She didn't have any way of knowing how it was going to happen. She had no funding, but it was such a strong idea that was alive within her, and she wouldn't let it go. That is spiritual vision. And so along with that, she also started a Westside Unity Church from a small study group. And as she talks about it, she said, you know, she was always rooted in the foundation on which she built the Unity Urban Ministerial School in Westside Unity. And that foundation for her was Isaiah 61:1. She said, "The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives and release from darkness for the prisoners." And so that was her shining light. She always said that was her foundation that motivated her and wouldn't let this idea go that was alive within her. And she touched thousands of lives, and there's many that are still being impacted. And the Unity Urban Ministerial School, it actually was the first kind of Unity Ministerial School. It led the way in going to online, so making education more accessible and making the ministerial program more accessible for more people. And so Reverend Ruth Mosley is a shining example, a tremendous light in our unity movement, but also a visionary, and one that was willing to listen to the spiritual vision and follow that and allow it to lead her. So I also want to take just a few moments just to talk about what might get in the way of spiritual vision. And so if we do not have clear hearts, clear minds, then our vision becomes clouded. And it's natural in this human journey, right? At different times we have the highs and the lows. And so it might be a challenge that we're facing. It could be collective grief, collective trauma, layered on top of individual grief, individual trauma. And so we need to also create space to reveal that which needs to be revealed so that that which needs to be healed can be healed, and allow us to be able to see with spiritual eyes and hear with spiritual ears. And that's one of the gifts of spiritual community. As we get to come together and be together in community, we get to celebrate together, and we get to hold sacred space and allow space for healing and transformation as well. It's the gift of showing up for one another. And so if you happen to be sitting in a seat and thinking that you don't matter, you just sort of sneak in the back and then sneak out afterwards, I'm going to tell you that each and every one of you matters, because community exists through your presence, each and every one of you. And there might be times where you come and you just really need to be in a place to receive. There's been something that's happened and you're not in a place to give or show up for others, and that's perfectly fine. This is what this sanctuary and the online space is for. And then there's other times where you're ready to give and step in. And then you can give the gift of your presence, regardless of anything else, any other way you might be showing up. The gift of your presence is tremendous. And so I want to call out just 3 opportunities and gifts of spiritual community where we've had this opportunity to kind of collectively hold sacred space for one another. And that is, last week, the Risers hosted a prayer vigil, and many of us were there as part of it, a prayer vigil for Renee Good and her loved ones, and all those families that are separated right now. And so just creating even that moment to join together in prayer and hold a prayer vigil was a space of healing together that we joined together in. Today, after the service, the heartfulness meditation in the meditation hall, it's an opportunity to just take a pause and allow some space for your heart and healing of your heart and nurturing of your heart. On January 31st, Seattle Unity, we're going to be co-hosting an event with Abundance. It's a social organization, and they're going to have different workshop leaders. They're going to have meditation and breath work and sound healing. It's going to be on a Saturday from 2 to 6. And so it's a place to nurture yourself. It's also a place to gather in community, and all of the proceeds are going to benefit suicide awareness. And it's also, I just want to point out, it's being created and led by young people that are living and working right down here in South Lake Union. And so one of the kind of priorities for those that were in the old building, and when we were talking about, should we move, should we stay? It was, we're going to stay here. We're going to be the shining light in South Lake Union in this neighborhood. And it's been a priority for this community to be more engaged in the larger neighborhood. And so I'm asking you to show up at this event and bring your energy and your presence into it if you are able to be part of that. It's a kind of a drop-in. It's a come and go. There's events planned in the sanctuary, speakers planned, again, meditation, breath work, sound healing in the meditation hall. There'll be activities upstairs on the 3rd floor. And we're really kind of launching this together as sort of an experiment to see what's possible, the potential of what we can create together, partnering with other organizations and other individuals. And so I invite you to come and take advantage of that. And there'll be kind of links to tickets. We're keeping the cost very low, just so that it's accessible, very accessible. There's $10 for a ticket, gives you all complete access. But again, all of the benefits go towards suicide awareness prevention. And so, in conclusion, I'm just going to ask each of us to take a breath and just listen to that spiritual vision. And right now, it might just be to be in a centered, calm space, to be in a receptive space. So what's being called to be revealed so that it may be healed? And we lean into the great wisdom and inspiration of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that stated and affirmed, in spite of the difficulties and challenges we see around us and that we face, we still have a dream, we still have a vision to bring forward into our lives, into this country, and into the world. And so, rooted in the awareness that you each have faith enough to bring about the brightest, most life-affirming, loving, just visions that you can imagine. We give thanks, and so it is. Amen. And blessings in this week ahead. So as our ushers are coming forward, there's many different ways to give, of course, through our website, seattleunity.org, and also text to give, 206-350-8448. I also want to introduce those of you that don't know, and I'm putting him on the spot, he didn't know that, but Terry Dupras, who is right there. So he is stepping in for Mark Buick. He is our lead usher greeter now. So all of you that just couldn't wait to volunteer and you were so excited and you said, yes, this feels right for me, Terry's your guy. You're going to go up after the service and let him know, yes, I'd love to be an usher and greeter, especially on the first and second Sunday. And so we thank you so much. And so let us affirm our offering together. I give willingly, joyfully, and lovingly, knowing that God is the constant source of my supply. I give with graciousness and receive with gratitude. Amen.
Before we hear this next song from DeMarcus, who is awesome, and I'm so grateful that he's here, I also want to let you know this next song is his original, written especially for today, and nobody's heard it before, so it's a brand new baby song, and I adore it. DeMarcus Bazemore.
We're pretty darn blessed, yeah? Yeah. All right, so I want to do kind of shout out as our prayer chaplains for today are coming from. I'm going to do a shout out to those that are joining us online. And so we have MJ in Greenwood. Hello, Diane from Kenmore, Gary and Lynn joining in from Southern California, Mike and Diane from Linwood, Marcia from West Seattle, Margaret from Corvallis, Oregon, Patricia from Seattle, Jen joining in from Bremerton, Michael all the way out from New Mexico, Belinda joining in from Greenwood, Deborah from Milton, Dorothy from Kirkland, Faith from Seward Park, Wesley from somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, Terry from Southworth, Jeff from Seattle, Lori from West Seattle, and many more. And so we are grateful for the technology that allows us to connect online as well. And so we put a final blessing on the offering, and we are so grateful for the generosity of this community. And so we see these gifts returning to each giver in expected and unexpected ways. And we see them going forth to bless not only this ministry, but going out to bless the larger community. And for this, we are grateful. And we move right into prayers for those that have requested prayer today. And so knowing that there is no distance, no time in spirit, we call forth divine order, guidance and wisdom in the lives of Therese and Christy, Dan, Quinn, and Susan. Blessings of healing, guidance, love and understanding for Dan, Scott, Rick, Susan, Gary, Mike, and Bill. We hold in light and love Marcy, Aaron, Cindy, Jean, Margaret, Dorothy, Justice, and Marcia. And anyone else you know in need of prayer or a place, I invite you to speak their name now. We send our prayers and blessings to each one, calling forth divine order, healing, guidance, wisdom, and all that is most needed in this moment, that they may know the love, the support, the strength that is called for. And for this awareness, we are grateful. And we close with our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. Love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. That is the truth.
Yes, it is. Hey, let's sing a closing song together. We're going to sing We Let the Love Wash Over Us. And if this is a new one for you, you might feel somebody moving your hands around. It's okay. And as always, it's all right to not hold hands at Unity as well. We learned how to do that in COVID. Yay! But you don't have to explain why you don't want to hold hands. You can just not do it. And that's true of all of our ritual elements here. I don't want you to ever feel forced or pushed into smiling when you don't want to, or holding somebody's hand if you don't want to. You can let us sing to you if you would like.